Howdy readers, I'm Jason. This is Chapter and Verse. It is a Monday. It's a Monday afternoon when I'm filming this, and the reason I'm not at work and I'm sitting here in our library instead is because it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day here in the States. So it's a national holiday, and it's also mine and Kelly's anniversary. And so here we are. It's 1:56 in the afternoon, and it has been snowing for the last, I don't know, hour or so, and we already have an inch, and we are expected to get 9 inches of snow between now and early tomorrow morning here in town, which will make this by far the biggest snowstorm of the winter so far. This has been the mildest and warmest and driest winter I think I have ever seen, actually, in Wyoming or Montana. But 9 inches of snow here in town, 15 inches up on the mountain. For those of you who don't know, Casper is situated right at the base of what is known as Casper Mountain. So it looks like we're going to be properly hit with weather for the first time this winter. But anyway, I've got a brisket in the crock pot upstairs with onions and mushrooms for mine and Kelly's dinner, so that's going to be tasty. So I thought I would, in the words of Steve Donahue, console myself with a tag. The weather is crappy out, the temperature's dropping, and the brisket is still a few hours away from being done. So a tag seemed like a good idea. All right, so the Lost Generation tag was created by Dalton over at Stripped Cover Lit. I was tagged to do this by Juan at Just Juan Reader, and here is how the tag works. All right, so there are 5 prompts, all right, and each prompt is a writer from the so-called Lost Generation. Okay, so many of these writers were expatriates. Paris seemed to be a hub for this group of artists. So basically, with the writers from the Lost Generation, is I feel like their proximity to each other brought the best out in each of them, or in most of them, and I feel like they really raised the bar on themselves and each other. But the writers that Dalton chose to be represented in the tag were Ernest Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Gertrude Stein, T.S. Eliot, and Ezra Pound. And those of us who do the tag are meant to choose a booktuber for each of those writers whose channel and presence on Booktube somehow correlates to that writer's kind of defining artistic characteristics. I say artistic characteristics because we are looking at these writers for their creative genius, right? For their creative powers. We are not looking at their personal lives. So we're not considering Hemingway's assholishness or Ezra Pound's anti-Semitism. We are looking at the defining characteristics of their work and trying to find or match booktubers with those characteristics. So I was tagged by Juan at Just Juan Reader, and I was his F. Scott Fitzgerald choice, which was freaking awesome. I was not expecting to be mentioned in any version of this tag, so that was very pleasing. Thank you, Juan. So I'm just going to dive in now. So prompt number 1 is Ernest Hemingway, Brazen and Opinionated. This booktuber's incredibly unique style is an asset to Booktube. So the booktuber I've chosen for this, I would not call him brazen in any way, but he is opinionated in the sense that he has really strong opinions. He's got really strong feelings about books and writers, and about when a writer has kind of exhausted their chances with him. And he does have an incredibly unique style. I really feel like he is kind of the Wes Anderson of Booktube, and that is Matt at MCS Books. And when I talk about his opinions and how kind of fixed he is on certain things, I'm thinking specifically of conversations that we've had about Charles Dickens. And Matt is done with Dickens. And I tried to convince him to give Dickens another shot, and I don't think he ever will. And I suppose there's something commendable about that, kind of sticking to your guns and just feeling sure that if a writer hasn't impressed you yet, they are unlikely to do so in the future. So even though I think Dickens is the greatest novelist in the English language. It's absolutely fine that Matt doesn't think that. Matt's channel is brilliant. If you haven't seen it, I'm not exaggerating when I refer to him as the Wes Anderson of Booktube. He's got videos that, I mean, make me feel like I might as well be watching the Royal Tenenbaums. They are aesthetically and conceptually genius at times. So check out his channel. Number 2, F. Scott Fitzgerald, the introspective one. This booktuber helps us discover things that are hidden in the text. And for this, I had to choose Neil Griffiths. And Neil hasn't been on Booktube very much the last 6 months or so. He oversees a literary prize called the Republic of Consciousness Prize, and I think he's really kind of tied up with that right now, really busy with that. But Neil's videos are some of the only ones on Booktube that I not only can kind of go back to again and again, but I do go back to again and again. I just feel like they are inexhaustible. I think that he's an absolutely just piercingly diamond-like brilliant man. And when he has something to say about a book, I listen. I just do. I may not agree, but at the very least, I'm going to walk away with a much richer, much deeper, much more complex set of ideas of my own about whatever that book is. So, number 3 is Gertrude Stein. So before I get to this, let me just say that my experience of Gertrude Stein's work is limited. I have read her, I suppose we can call it a poetry collection. That's what it wants to be called. I wouldn't necessarily be myself inclined to think of it like that, but her book, Tender Buttons, which is, it's got to be in the 5 worst books I've ever read. I just think Tender Buttons is it's just a piece of shit, really. We could get into it more, and maybe I will in another video someday. Although I'd rather, I think, go to the dentist than ever reread that book. Anyway, this prompt is Gertrude Stein, the expert, the one you always turn to for their opinion and expertise in the matter of reading. And so for this, I had to choose Jennifer at insert literary pun here. Now, unfortunately, the videos of Jennifer's that I love most and that really do this for me, that really help me be a better reader, a closer reader, that really teach me things about being a reader that I never really understood before, are her reviews. And she doesn't do those anymore, and she's taken down her old ones. Hopefully she just made them private so that if she's ever in a position to make them public again, she will. Because she recently took a job, from what I understand, in publishing, and it would be on some level a kind of conflict of interest somehow for her to have these review videos up. But follow her channel if you don't already, because someday, maybe, those videos might see the light of day again. And if they do, we will all be the better for it. And not just because of what she's saying, right? I'm not just talking about, oh, Jennifer's got, just a great mind and her opinions are spot on, etc., etc. She is a really good teacher, whether she knows that or not. But what she has to say about what she's looking for in a book, what she expects from a book, specifically how a book is falling short of its own promise, it's just fabulous. I mean, watching those videos, like you feel like synaptic connections being formed in your brain, which is what any of us should want, I think, from videos. Number 4, T.S. Eliot, the one who will make it big. This small booktuber is firing on all cylinders and is one great day away from being a huge booktuber. And for this, I am choosing Rick at Another Book Vlog. So Rick hasn't been doing this for very long, and he already has almost as many subscribers as I do. So he's going to be passing me in very short order. And I just think Rick... I think Rick is hilarious. I think Rick is super smart. I think Rick has really good taste. And I feel like Rick is pretty unafraid of trying new things on Booktube and kind of pushing limits and pushing boundaries and really trying to carve out a kind of zany, cerebral space on Booktube in this community. So he's going to be big. Mark my words, if he keeps making content regularly, Rick's channel is going to have I don't know. I mean, it's going to have, 5,000 subscribers in the next 18 months or something, next 2 years. And then the last prompt is Ezra Pound, quirky and a little different from the norm. This booktuber is in a class of their own, bringing something entirely new and valuable to Booktube. And quirky, I think, is the word of note here. And so for this prompt, I'm choosing Alex at Big Al Books, who I will actually be co-hosting an event with here in a couple of months. And if you haven't checked out Alex's channel yet, she is so much fun to watch. She is just spirited, and she's a little bit weird in a really good way. She is to Booktube a little bit like what Diablo Cody's movies are to cinema. Movies like Juno. They're a little funky. They're very cool, and they are somehow kind of comforting and unexpected at the same time. And so if you haven't checked out Big Al Books yet, well, do yourself a favor and stop this video and go check it out, because it's there, and it's one of the best things on Booktube. So those are my answers to the Lost Generation tag, meaning I then therefore tag Matt at MCS Books, my Ernest Hemingway choice, Neil Griffiths, my F. Scott Fitzgerald choice, Jennifer at Insert Literary Pun Here, my Gertrude Stein choice, Rick from Another Book Vlog, who is my T.S. Eliot choice, and Alex from Big Al Books, who is my Ezra Pound choice. Just to reiterate, I'm not making any kind of correlation at all between Ezra Pound's madness and Alex's channel. Alex is clearly a vastly better human being than Ezra Pound was. So that's that, everybody. I'm going to go upstairs and see what the snow is doing, smell the brisket, and I will see you guys again in a video very soon. Adios.